Welcome everyone to Deck Talk. Yes, that weekly show where we get to focus on new decks coming into the meta and some cool stuff you could be playing around with for Hearthstone. Alright, so this is the first episode post Knights of the Frozen Throne launch. We've been seeing some incredible things happening in Hearthstone. We've seen a lot of creativity going forward. We've seen a lot of interesting interactions. Board sweeps off of 2-mana spells are just amazing. We've seen some shenanigans thanks to the Lich King, which has become arguably the #1 favorite card of everybody in deck design. We've been seeing the return of Warlock. We've seen Priest now become one of the most versatile classes known to man. It's just an amazing time. And of course, we've got the same scumbag people playing Pirate Warrior. We really couldn't get around that. So this week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at two decks. Yes, two, not just one, as per normal. And these two decks are kind of based around a similar theme of adaptation. Now, I do not mean the spell adaptation. What I mean is that beginning part of a new expansion meta where people take pre-existing deck concepts and then modify them with new cards in order to get a better product or an evolved product, so to speak. Pun intended, considering the first deck we're going to be talking about. Leading into what we're going to be talking about is the DisguisedToast Token Shaman. Yes, I know. Fuck Token Shaman. Everybody is sick and tired of Token Shaman, right? We're all beyond tired of it. But guys, guess what? Token Shaman is nowhere near as powerful as it used to be, especially with the rise of Warlock and Defile. So it's not nearly as strong as it used to be, but it definitely got a couple new tools that we're going to talk about. Now, DisguisedToast deck basically has the usual suspects. So, Bloodsail, Corsair, Fireflies, Evolve, Devolve, Flame Tongue Totems, Jade Claws, yada, 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 yada. Almost verbatim, the exact same list that we have come to know and despise. However, there are two new cards that were added in, so he had to actually pull out 3 other cards. And those cards are the Rattling Rascal, which, again, is a preferential choice. Some people may not like it. And, of course, the Thrall Deathseer. Thrall Deathseer adds some amazing fluidity to this deck and a new form of go fuck yourself to your opponents that generally could really screw them over. Because Thrall Deathseer has been introduced into the meta, now there's actually these weird sort of risk-reward values from doing an evolve onto what you already have on the board, then playing Thrall Deathseer, so you can actually get a +3 in their evolution versus just a regular +2 from playing the Thrall Deathseer. So you don't always have to wait for, say, the Doppelgangster combo, as well as the reduce things from below and whatnot. Alright, you get some more fluidity. Now, that's also where this card, the Rattling Rascal, comes. Now, this card, when everybody saw it, they went, wow, this card is utter garbage. A 4-mana 2/2. That is a sin on its own. Battlecry, summon a 5/5 skeleton. Okay, it's getting a little better. We're paying 4 mana for 7/7 worth of stats. Death Rattle, summon 1 for your opponent. That is horrible. But guys, remember, evolution is a thing. So some really interesting late game plays I've been able to pull off with the Rattling Rascal. On turn 10, I was able to play out Rattling Rascal, hit it with an Evolve, which gave me a 5-drop and a 6-drop, and then I was able to throw down the Thrall Deathseer, so my 5-drop became a 7-drop, and my 6-drop became an 8-drop, and yeah, it was some hilarity at that point. Interestingly, side note, in that game, that 8-drop happened to be the Lich King, so I got the end of turn effect on there, which gave me Frostmourne and allowed me to basically eat his board and then summon it on there. And I was able to also apply a Doppelgangster and the second Evolve and get an even more devastating board to where my opponent just conceded. It was a beautiful thing. So yes, Rattling Rascal definitely is a risk-reward card that can be used quite nicely. Playing it out on curve, bad fucking idea. You never want this to hit the board unless you are going to do some sort of evolve shenanigans, or you've got it in the late game and you're playing it with Thrall Deathseer. Now you might ask, like, okay, well, if it's such a risk-reward card, why are we running 2 of them? Wouldn't it make more sense to also throw in, say, a Stonehill Defender? Again, this isn't my list. It is what it is, guys, but it is something that you guys could possibly work into and play, so on and so on, so keep that in mind. I actually had a lot of fun playing this deck, but I will say it is not the best deck for grinding the ladder. Maybe above 10, you're going to have a little bit more of a problem with it. especially with the volatility of the meta currently right now. But if you're very competent in playing a token deck, then you're probably going to eke out about 60 to 70%, depending on your matchups, quite easily. All the same rules apply in terms of what you should mulligan for. Your 1-drops, except for patches. Flame Tongue Totem, only if you have 1-drops. Jade Claws is always a good one to keep. Depending on the matchup, probably Maelstrom Portal. Primal Fin Totem, especially if you've got coin. And maybe even the Mana Tide Totem. There's arguments to keeping the Jade Lightning as well, especially if you got coin. It allows you to basically deal with any of those douchebag pirate warriors who like to play with Frothing Berserkers, or some of the new Enrage warriors that have been kind of sweeping the ladder recently. So yeah, those would be pretty much an accurate meta for mulligans right there. But it is a simple deck to play, and we're actually going to go and watch some gameplay footage. Here we go. Alright, so always finding that worthy opponent. So we get a Mage. Now, Mage has had some really interesting volatility going on with it. A lot of people are still sticking with some of the more traditional deck archetypes that have existed, but it is what it is. Alright, going by the mulligan guide here. We keep only the Jade Claws. We're looking for our 1-drops because we really rather not have to play out our coin right away. But we get not only a 1-drop, but we also get the Primal Fin Totem, which is generally our go-to. But no, we're not going to let a Mage take control of the board first. So instead, we will be going with the Jade Claws. We do have a 1-drop to follow up, so that's kind of a good thing. And our weapon pretty much ensures that we're going to be able to counter anything he does as well. He goes with the Galaka Crawler. I see this and I'm just laughing. I am laughing so hard. And we get another 1-drop to follow it. We're going to take out the Galaka Crawler and we're going to smack him in the face with the Pirate. Just for a little bit of, you know, haha, you played it too soon. Alright, so here comes down the Flame Elemental. And the Hero Power is going to come in, remove out the patches. And now I'm sitting here and I'm doing the math, and I'm liking this play. There's only a couple of things that he could really get, one of which is Volcanic Potion, which would be kind of devastating. Now he goes with this play, and I'm sitting here and I'm going, you know, I kind of see some possibilities here. Alright, I see some possibilities. So we get another Primal Fin Totem. For me, that seems like a great idea. We're going to build up our board. We're going to do the 1 damage, and we're going to go for an early one of these. And now we have locked out the hero power thanks to this guy, the Mindbreaker. That guy is a nightmare. Now, again, like I said, Volcanic Potion is always something we have to worry about, and he is playing exactly to that. He knows what he has to do here. So here comes the Volcanic Potion. He cleared his own board, and he had to invest 2 cards to do this. Downside is we lost pretty much our whole advantage that we had. But now after seeing the Volcanic Potion, I feel pretty safe to actually get away with just going with a blanket Doppelgangster. You know, reestablish that board. Probably not the best idea, but hey, if I had top decked a Thrall Deathseeker, that would have been amazing. But instead, we get the we get the Jade Lightning. Now, I'm pretty sure that's a counterspell. And we're going to play to the fact that I know it's a counterspell. And no, it was actually a Spellbender. So I actually could have gotten away with smashing to the face a little bit more effectively. But either way, I lose 2 but gain a 2/2. So it kind of equated. But again, for purposes of Evolve, that kind of really hurt me. Here comes the Blaze Caller. Unfreaking activated. Alright, so now we're back into this position where, hey, look, now we only have to trade a token instead of one of our 2/2 attack minions. And we gain a 3/3. We're just building the board. We're doing what we do. And I'm sitting here and I'm doing the math here. We have exactly 7 damage on the board, which is 7 plus 12, which is 19. That puts us 2 off lethal. And I'm sitting here going, it's like, okay, well, is there any way we could win besides that? And my mind says, yes, we can. Let's go ahead. Let's put the pressure on him. He only has 2 cards left in his hand. We don't really feel comfortable with doing any other sort of trade plays because we end up giving him an 8/8. So we're just going to apply the max amount of pressure we can and basically tell him, look, you're either done or you're done. Now, I know he's got a secret in hand, and there was a concern of it possibly being Ice Block. But if he played Ice Block right now, he'd only have 6 mana left to play. Instead, he decides to go for the suicide play. Always a fun thing. Yes, yes. Even the Mage knew he couldn't win. Alright, so as you can see, the deck plays exactly like the previous one did. We didn't get to see any cool shenanigans with the Rattling Rascals. I apologize for that. Or with Thrall Deathseer. But they do definitely help in very interesting ways, and you can be very, very creative with that. So use that gray matter in between your ears, and you'll definitely have a lot of fun with this deck. Alright, now I did say we have 2 decks, and the next one is going to be a Jade Druid adaptation. This is actually one of my own creations. Yes, I actually do build decks. Alright, so I started playing around with Jade Druid like when it first came out, and I was like, wow, this deck could be pretty cool. And then we started seeing the implementation of massive armor gain, and it became its own sort of control deck, and it could outlast a lot of stuff. But then, you know, we started seeing that it didn't work really that well against a lot of decks unless it hit certain key points at different times. And matter of fact, Shamans were able to just completely zerg the shit out of it on a good day. Well, thanks to the new expansion, we've gotten to add quite a few new cards that help prevent this. And I want to talk about the cards right now. I mean, we have some of the normal suspects that we had previous, so I don't really want to focus on that too much until we get to some of these other cards. We've got the Crypt Lord being one of the newer ones added in. 3 mana for 1/6, taunt that grows in health for every minion you play after it. Might not seem overly that good, or it should be in a token-based deck, but remember, we have lots of minions that when they come down, they summon another minion. Right? We have several of those. Not to mention, in combination with Spreading Plague, can add to some hilarity of You Shall Not Pass. Alright. Then, of course, we've got the Spreading Plague. Really good speed bump. Slows down aggressive decks quite nicely. Token Shamans hate this card because they can't just instantly go on turn 5 for the Bloodlust win. Yeah, it's fun. We also have Malfurion the Pestilent. Now, some of you might ask, like, well, why is Malfurion the Pestilent in here? Well, again, remember, we also have the Crypt Lord here. Kind of works in a very unique way. It's a 5 armor heal. We're adding more stuff to the board. It could be taunts. It could be poisons, depending on what we need. And also, his hero power is actually pretty goddamn good. +3 attack or +3 armor. +3 armor is statistically going to be the one you're using the most. However, there are many instances where that +3 attack is going to be really, really good. And I'm going to tell you exactly where this is as we talk about the next card that is new from the expansion, and that is the Lich King. Bow before the frozen god of death. Alright, so 8 mana, 8/8 taunt. At the end of your turn, add a random Death Knight card. A lot of these cards are kind of hit or miss and very, very situational, but there's one card that you almost always want, especially if you're in Malfurion, the Pestilence mode. And, oops, we just made a mistake. That's okay, we'll fix that really quick. And that card is Frostmourne. And I'll tell you why you want Frostmourne. Simply put, if you're in Pestilence mode, then your attack plus Frostmourne equals out to 8 damage. This means if your opponent decides to go Lich King, you just took his Lich King. Yes, you took 8 to the face. Alright, that sucks. But the deck does have the ability of healing back for 26 life in form of armor. Not to mention, your own hero power can heal you for 3 armor a turn. So it's not that big of a deal. You could make a lot of tempo trades because of that. When I had this happen the first time, I was like, oh my god, this combination is beyond disgusting. I must do this all the time. And I was actually discovered this while I was playing a more taunt-oriented deck. It wasn't Jade at all. And when this happened, I was like, oh, no. Lich King is going into fucking Jade Druid. We're going to make this a thing. And I started noticing a lot of other people kind of came to that conclusion too. But not many of them jumped onto the Malfurion the Pestilence bandwagon, which I found a little bit strange. But hey, you know, it is what it is. So yeah, Frostmourne works so good with Malfurion the Pestilence. You could just have that thing equipped, and your opponent will sit with the Lich King constantly in his hand because he does not want you to possibly get it after he's done killed yours. So you getting double value off a Lich King is an amazing thing. So yeah, there's definitely some cool shenanigans you could do there because of Frostmourne and Malfurion the Pestilence. Alright, so keep that in mind. And some of the other cards you can get off here are pretty damn good as well. Next up we have is the Ultimate Infestation. Yes, because nothing says get fucked like dealing 5 damage, drawing 5 cards, and gaining 5 armor. Oh, and you get to summon a 5/5 ghoul. I've won many a games just by playing this on the back end, you know, constantly pushing a whole lot of damage to the face. The warrior goes for the brawl. He was at 3 life, and then he's able to hero power, boom. He's now at 5 life. I top deck Ultimate Infestation, instant win. Yeah, obviously the 5 damage isn't overly that spectacular, but when used in combination with, say, the Jade Idols, just throwing them back in the deck, this allows for some great cycling, digging deep, getting exactly what you need. I will give a word of warning. There are a lot of different Jade decks out there that are running both of these. The problem I have with this concept is that means you're taking all your Jade Idols and constantly putting them into the deck the moment you get them into your hand. This is going to change some of the dynamic and the consistency of your draws, which is going to be somewhat problematic. Personally, I like playing with double Jade Idols. I put one out in the beginning, and if I get the second one soon on, I generally hold on to it until I get the Ultimate Infestation, which means I'm using stuff like my Nourishes to dig a little bit deeper. I'm also using Wrath to also dig deeper just to get that Ultimate Infestation. Now, once I have that Ultimate Infestation, I then start looking for the Fandral. That way I can get the minion played out and put 3 in there. And they're going to waste whatever resources they can dealing with Fandral as well as the token that just came off of that, to where anything that's left on the board, I'm going to play Ultimate Infestation, probably kill it, summon the 5/5, gain 5 armor, and draw 5, and probably draw all 3 of the tokens that I just put back into the deck, depending on where you are in the curve. At which point, I feel relatively comfortable throwing back 2 more on my next turn, playing 1, and probably going for a Nourish instantly to draw even more back if I've, you know, cleared out enough of my stuff. So keep that in mind. You could definitely do some really cool cycling mechanics with that. It's like you don't even need the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. Now, I'm only running 1 copy of this because I found there are many times where if you fuck up, it punishes you quite a lot. And I've actually burned cards because of this. I've actually milled myself because of this. It really sucks. Like, if your last Jade Idol is the last card in your deck and you have Ultimate Infestation in your hand, you literally have to throw it back to build 3. You do an Ultimate Infestation next turn, you're going to mill yourself, so it gets in a weird thing. So you have to wait till you draw the next one, throw it back again. So you end up waiting multiple turns before you can actually use Ultimate Infestation without causing it too much problems. And that made it feel very, very clunky having 2. And surprisingly enough, having 2, I found most of the time they always resided so deep in the back end of the deck that they became almost useless to use any other time. So it kind of felt like, wow, I've got a useless 10-drop in my fucking deck. Or, correction, I have 2 useless 10-drops in my deck. No, I don't like that. So, by dropping that out, we were able to bring in our good old friend, Yogg-Saron. Yes, because nothing says go fuck yourself like Yogg-Saron. Downside here is because of a spell called Treachery, there's yet another way of getting yourself fucked over by Yogg-Saron. But, you know, Yogg giveth, Yogg taketh. Alright, so we took a look at the deck, and now let's go to some gameplay footage of it. Now, this game we're against a Warrior, and Warrior, again, is trying to find its new identity outside of Pirate and or, you know, the Quest Warrior. So it's looking for new stuff here, and here we've actually got a very interesting battle. Typical mulligan here is you always want ramp cards, and Jade Idol is a good one to keep. We have the coin here, so I'm feeling very, very comfortable with it. And here comes the Crypt Lord, so I'm going to get some insane value off of it. Now, guys, because the Crypt Lord grows, people get really worried about it. It's like, oh, great, I'm not going to be able to just instantly trade it if he's constantly always adding to its health. So it's a really great way of pulling an execute from your opponent. Now, I recognize that this is probably what's going to happen. So I make the active conscious choice of waiting a turn, playing out the Crypt Lord on 3. Now, my opponent's going to look at that and go, well, it's not overly threatening, and it's not meant to be threatening. It's meant to be a speed bump, and that's exactly what it is going to do here. So here we go. We're just going to play that. Boom. We get a nice little ramp up here. And we're going to attack the face. And that 1 damage he did is completely negated. But here's the thing, guys. Remember, this is Warrior. They do have Execute. But you know what? I am happy to see that. If you're going to waste your 2-mana Execute on a 3-drop minion, okay. I have way better and bigger things that I really don't want you killing. Alright. So now I'm looking at this. I have The Lich King in hand. You know what? Let's do this. As a matter of fact, let's go to 9 next turn. That seems like a good thing. It might be wasteful. All right, and I'll agree. Might be wasteful. But look at how far ahead I've jumped, and now he's going, uh-oh. This is not good. So we're going to drop the Lich King right here. Let's see what kind of value we get. Boom. Oh, by the way, I'm also going to summon out... No, I'm going to throw it into my deck. Because I got the other Nourish in hand, I feel very, very confident in this. So we get Obliterate, which pretty much means I can kill any damn target you put down there. So, yay, me. So here comes the Slam. He's going to have to trade everything in order to kill it, which, in all honesty, that works for me. But instead, he goes with the Blood Razor, and he's going to face tank 8 so he can keep his board. Because of his armor, it was really only 5, but still... quite impressive. I actually thought that was a very, very good play. Alright, so now I'm sitting here. We have Aya, and we have the Jade Spirit, so we're going to go constantly building the board. And I'm sitting here going, you know, a Brawl right now would kind of suck, but at least I'd have a 4-4 afterwards. And here comes Cairn Bloodhoof, and I'm starting to question, like, what kind of fucking deck this is. I mean, Cairn's in general just a really good card. But I'm starting to go, maybe this is a N'Zoth-based deck. You know, that's a Death Rattle and Cairn. So there's definitely some N'Zoth value coming. Alright, so here we go. We're going to go and draw 3 cards right now. And we get the Fandral there, which is really nice. And I'm doing some math here. And I go, you know what? Let's do this. This will be good. Yeah, I like this. So we trade there, get rid of that. And we trade there. And I'm still debating whether or not I want to put Fandral out there, but I decide it's probably not my best interest. We're just going to do a card draw instead. I probably should have done this first, but I was still not 100% sure what I wanted my line of play to be. And, oh, look at that. More Jade Idol production. Yes. And playing Fandral right now just felt like really, really bad ideas. And I'm glad I didn't go with the Fandral, because it would have just died. So now he has no way of doing passive armor gain off of his hero power. It's pretty much all going to be off that. Unfortunately, the Plague is just not going to be as useful as it should be, but it is what it is. Alright, so we're going to do hero power, gain some armor, and we're going to remove some of his. Alright. So now we're getting to the point where we're looking for the value game. Everything we're going to do is pretty much based on the concept of I'm going to create more value than you can possibly get. Now he's going to draw his weapon here, and this is where things get really interesting. Now watch this series of play. I'm not sure if I agree with it 100%, but I thought it was actually pretty damn good. Alright, so now he brings this out. Now that's a scary thing. That is really scary. I don't like those things. They bother me. So I'm not keen on killing it myself. I actually thought about putting down the 5-drop, but it made no sense considering that weapon damages things to left and right of it. So yeah, just putting it there, I would still end up having problems with this. So didn't seem like a good idea. I'm wanting him to waste all the charges on it. Alright, so if ever there was a indication that this is a N'Zoth-based deck, here we go. Now, if he does his hero power here, this is going to benefit him greatly. But he didn't have enough mana. And that's okay, ladies and gentlemen. We'll make sure that that is not a problem. Now, arguably, I should have probably played the Plague first, then done that. But, you know, common sense, probably. I didn't want to play into the Brawl, you know, and that's the God's honest truth. Brawl was a concern. Alright, and now we get to remove that. Didn't have to bother trading, and we just go face. Now, Fandral is just sitting there, and that's a prime target if ever there was one. And I want him to trade his minion on his turn. That way he doesn't get the armor value. I'm not even going to worry about that. He could actually start seeing this as an opportunity and start smashing damage to my face. He really could. But instead, he's going to focus on Fandral provides way too much value here. And we're in a really rough spot, guys. We're in a really rough spot. We're down to 1 card. We need either Nourish, which we're out of, or Ultimate Infestation. We've been playing extremely heavy tempo orientation. And it's okay though, because we have yet more Jades coming. At this point, everything we get off our top deck is just inherently good. So I'm okay going down to this level. So he's looking at what he can possibly do, and what I'm expecting is a hero power and possibly an execute. And I'm sitting here going, here comes the execute. Yep. But he doesn't. Instead, he's realizing that he's in a rough spot. He's counting the math here. There's at least 11 damage possible. So he did this to basically stay alive. And boom, there comes that. That's pretty much going to ensure that nothing lives. He's actually willing to take this 7 damage here, leaving him with 5. So again, that was actually some pretty good reads there. And now here I am in a bad position. All I could really do is hero power. And all I keep thinking is, man, I could really use that Malfurion of Pestilence. Man, I could really use this. Man, I could use Ultimate Infestation. Oh my god, we could win off Ultimate Infestation. This would be great. And now he's going to start cycling heavy through his deck. Alright, this is actually a pretty brilliant play. And here comes a Battle Rage. He's going to cycle for his endgame, or at least try to get to it. And I realize that, wow, I may be out of gas, and he might actually get to his endgame. If I don't get some of these coolness cards here soon, we're in a world of shit. The fact that he does not have a any sort of way of generating stuff kind of makes me feel like this might be the time for me to really strike. We're looking for basically Ultimate Infestation. We're looking for a swipe. We didn't get any of that, so instead I'm going to go with the 8/8 and pray he does not have an execute, because that would just be tragically bad. He's down to 3 life. Again, swipe is a way of killing him. The Malfurion is a way of killing him. And again, he's going with the shenanigans involving the Acolyte of Pain. He's going to cycle to try to find an answer. This is actually a pretty cool concept. I love it a lot. Now, if he actually had his... and here comes the second execute. Boom. If he actually had kept one of his armor smiths, this would have been a really great time to regain some armor. But he didn't. Alright, so... here we get the Drake of Doom, which will actually kill everything, and I'm okay with that. Boom. He's all out of executes. He has no armor generation that I could see outside of possibly the Bring It On, which I have no minions in my hand, so Bring It On actually wouldn't be that big of a deal, but he doesn't know that. But he could probably guess. Instead, he goes Dead Man's Hand. He cycled through most of his deck, and now he's going to refill. So there's definitely some cool stuff probably coming there. And again, we get a little bit of a whiff. I'm going to go and hunt for a win condition. Again, there's a couple of them. Instead, we get the Crypt Lord. So, hey, you know what? Let's do this. Boom. To the boom, boom, boom. Alright, we're in a really safe position here. I'm simply doing the math here. I trade there, boom, boom, boom. I win next turn. And here comes the Bone Mare. And I'm like, oh, that ain't good. But then I'm still counting. I still win. I have lethal +2. So while we didn't pull the instant win, we were able to basically hold out for quite some time and go for the victory either way. The guy played an amazing game, but inevitably, he just ran out of gas. So yeah, those are the 2 decks that I wanted to share with all of you. The first one was by DisguisedToast. The second one is by myself. They're both a lot of fun. Really, you guys should check them out. So now, down below in the description setting type thing of this video, you're going to find the link to the Hearthstone for, you know, the deck guides and or list. There's also going to be the deck code for them on the description for this video, so check that out. And also go to Hearthstone for all of your deck crafting needs, and leave some positive comments both there and on this video. Anyway guys, till next time, this is Shiv saying stay safe, have fun, may RNGs bless you, and I'm out of here.